We're going big with the world premiere of Air, closing out South by Southwest 2023. Director Ben Affleck, Damon, Viola Davis, Chris Tucker, Jason Bateman. It is a slam dunk here at South by Southwest 2023.
I'm so excited to see the movie in front of fans.
I'm thrilled, and I'm nervous, but I couldn't be at a better place.
This theater, closing night, packed house, big screen, a bunch of movie stars. It's the dream. Everyone knows about Michael Jordan. Everyone knows what Nike is, but this was, to me, always a really interesting way to tell kind of the untold story of both.
It's a movie about overcoming odds and also how people, in regular office jobs can do extraordinary things.
How Nike got into business with a rookie that was kind of a gamble they were making at the time.
He had to become Michael Jordan for this shoe to become what it is. It's him playing, winning those championships, and made people feel good at the same time, and they wanted a piece of him, and the piece of him was these shoes.
In the course of my research, I kind of discovered that the protagonist wasn't who I thought it was, and that the movie actually hinges on a character that I didn't think it would initially.
Absolutely is Michael Jordan's brilliance that inspired that shoe, but there's someone else very instrumental that inspired that major decision that was life-changing.
When we sent it out to directors, I'm not gonna lie, I was not expecting Ben Affleck to say yes.
He's a great director, and he got even better on this movie. I think it's the best thing he's done so far, and he's done a lot of movies that I'm a big, big fan of.
And he's very good at, like Argo, doing stories that we know the ending of, and yet you're super compelled, you're super emotional, and you feel like you're seeing it for the first time.
Every day I went to work, it was like I'm shooting a 7-page scene with Viola Davis. It's like, did I die and go to heaven? It was really the most joyful experience I've had ever.
When you watch the movie, it's going to be jaw-opening, just shocking surprise at how Air Jordans came to be.
It's nakedly optimistic about life and the world and people and what we can do, the best of us, when we're inspired by greatness and supported by extraordinary people. So I really hope people like it.
Congratulations, y'all. Congratulations. We are going to do some audience questions, but I'm going to go first for once, okay? I wanted to start with you, Viola. This is such an amazing performance. I know you're a mom. How did it feel to play this level of powerhouse and such a business-savvy badass and somebody who knew her son's worth?
You know what? It felt right. I think she was doing what we mothers do. We believe in our kids more than anything else. And one of the things I keep saying is Dolores' generation, my mom was born in 1943, Dolores was born in 1940. She was born in a generation of people whose dreams were their kids. It's the height of Jim Crow. It's the height of black people being told that their dreams didn't matter. So for her to have that big vision for her son and to believe it full-heartedly is sort of miraculous. So it was an honor to play Dolores.
I want to ask you, Julius, what was it like playing the on-screen husband of your real wife? And was that fun for y'all to get to play with that?
Well, yeah, it's always fun. We always have a great time, it's like any husband is going to protect his wife, believe in his son, and just do what's right. And it's like I was thinking, it's always got to talk to mama.
We love moms.
That's it.
Yeah, that's a true.
Right.
Matt, what was it like to play Sonny? Was there any special thing you took away from that experience?
Yeah, I showed up every day and I had, 5 to 7 pages to do opposite actors like this. It was ridiculous. It was the greatest job I've ever had. I've never had more fun. Ben and I, just from the moment we read Alex's script to, you know, the last cut we made in the edit, it was just absolute joy. This has been the best experience of my life, and these guys, I mean, by the way, you know, you go to work with Viola Davis in the morning on a 5-page scene, and at 10:30 you're done. It's the best thing you've done in your career, and you're an hour out of lunch, so you're like, well, I guess we should keep working. What else could we do today? So it really was a joyful experience, and I'm really glad you guys liked the movie.
Chris Tucker, we have missed seeing you on the big screen. What was this? I know, right? What was it like for you to come back in this way with these actors? What was it like for you to come back in this awesome film?
It was a blessing. It was a blessing. Ben and Matt, man, those guys, the greatest, brilliant geniuses. And they made me feel so comfortable. They came in my trailer and sat down like, look, man, it's just some friends making movies. Let's just have some fun. You do whatever you want to do. Ben called me and said, do whatever you want to do, man. You do I said, what? Okay. He said, we do it. So it was just great. And then they started telling me who was all in the movie. Viola, Julius, everybody, Chris, and Jason. And I was like, cool, and it was everything I love, and Howard White is a good friend of mine. He helped me out so much, man, he just really schooled me. So it was a blessing to be in the movie. It was a blessing.
We're glad you were. Jason, what was it like to play your character, and did you know any of this backstory, or was it part of your research for the role?
You know, I don't do a lot of research. I just, you know, quite frankly, I didn't really need to know anything more than just the cool group that I was being invited to join. And I'm really, this is only the second time I've seen it, and I saw it before, just me and my wife, Amanda, and to see it with you guys and to feel the excitement of like what, it's like, I'm really, really knocked out at what Ben and Matt were able to do with this story, which, you know, it's a story, it's like it's an American business story, and they made like a rock show out of that, and were somehow able to enhance what Michael Jordan means to all of us, which was already the zenith of, you know, greatness and excitement, and I'll never think of Michael Jordan or Air Jordans the same way again because of what Ben was able to do with that film and create that kind of feeling that we all just had. I mean, I couldn't believe the amount of screaming and the yelling and the applauding. It was just amazing. So I loved having that experience with you guys today.
Okay, Chris, you're like the quintessential, like what everyone thinks an agent is like. Not all agents are that way, but do you have any personal experience with agents like this? Or who?
Trying to get him fired by his agent?
Yeah,
who are
they're
you
here
channeling?
right now. That my agents are very nice people.
I want that agent.
It was all in the page, really. The writing was great, and it just told you what to do. It was a ball to play. You know, we got to do those phone calls, which I've never done before, thanks to Ben, at the same time. So Matt and I were down the hall from each other. I think we had 3 cameras on us.
On each of us.
Yeah.
On each of us.
And Ben would kind of go back and forth, and so we were able to play. Normally you do it with the script supervisor, or we try to call each other, but it keeps cutting off.
Right.
But to do it together was a blast.
Well, it was amazing. And scary. Okay, I think when I just watched the end of this from the back, and I was thinking that what I think the miracle of this movie is that we obviously all know how the story ends, but in the last scenes, I'm like, what's gonna happen? Tell me how you got that much tension, even though we already know the story.
I'll tell you the truth. Chris has given away my entire directing strategy, which is you find brilliant people and say, just do whatever you want. And I'm not kidding. And I feel like I just got to bear witness to all these people's performance and the energy and their own authorship that they brought to the story, and listening to them all talk, you know, and Viola, Chris, and Shirley, all of you, and realizing that I feel like in this movie, I love this movie. And I really just feel like I watched it happen, and I am lucky enough to be part of telling a story of somebody, not only about this business story, so they can inspire people, but that's something that has a resonance about value and worth that extends far beyond my capacity for authorship into deeper parts of this country and what it means and how we regard ourselves and one another. And it really is just it's like coaching the dream team. You know, I mean, how hard was that? We were just like, you know, let's go ahead and take some shots, play some defense. Sounds good. And hey, we blew them out. It was a joy and an honor, and I'm so glad I got to see it in front of an audience to see what I saw every day, which is how fabulous you all are. I love you. I'm grateful to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are going to take some audience questions. I'd like to remind you, please ask your question or I will move on. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you all, any of you who'd like to answer, about enjoyable moments playing opposite your scene partners, with a little bit of a twist for Ben. The lived-in experiences of these characters, we could feel it because of the way that you played this. Can you pick out any particular scenes, moments, general scene partners that you really enjoyed, whether in the deep, meaningful way or just plain fun, that us responding to the movie took you back to making the movie that you really enjoyed? And for Ben, any things that surprised you, what you ended up getting beyond what you expected from being on the page?
All these actors surprised me every time they did it. All the good things in this movie are what they came up with. And, you know, the most powerful to me, as I was telling the cast earlier, was there's a moment, the phone call with Matt, the second call with Mrs. Jordan and Sonny, and where Viola took the phone away from her ear in the middle of the scene. And it startled me and struck me, and it actually imparted on me, I felt, like a whole range of insight into a lifetime of being told the rational reason why you had to accept this is how it was going to be, and the genius, the mastery of that, of the elegance in the performance to get all of that across and break my heart sitting there watching the monitor by just taking the phone away from her face. I never seen anything like it. I was like, I have nothing to say.
Well, also, but just to double up on that for a second, also because you've been following the protagonist, right, for the whole movie, and in that moment, basically somebody's telling the protagonist, you're wrong, which is a very weird thing to do in a movie, but it makes total sense. The way she does it, she's just like, I'm not gonna listen to this again. Like,
it would be counterintuitive for an audience. Without that performance, the audience just goes, wait a minute. We've gone all this way with you, rooting for this person. Now you want to stop us and say, but because of the elegance and eloquence and pure truth of it, I feel as though along with the audience you go, oh, yeah, she's right. And so when you go up with Matt, it doesn't feel like a defeat. Or he's resentful. He's just kind of like, we all missed it, you know, and it makes the change organic in film. Anyway, I talked too much.
You know what I loved? I loved all the scenes with all these actors when we were in the office scenes, because I mean the stuff that Jason was doing, that Chris was doing, that Matt was doing, that my other Chris was doing. We have two Chris's. It was just so much fun. And Ben gave everybody so much room, but just the ease with which everybody worked. I learned so much just working with these guys. And there was just a level of feeling comfortable and just being able to explore and do it, just to watch the mastery while I'm working with these guys, but staying in it. That's what I love so much, is the way Ben shot this thing. It just stayed active, so it didn't feel stagnated. And it was just so much fun to work with these guys and watch them work.
Ditto.
Okay, go ahead. My question is for Ben. What kind of organization does it take to star in and also direct at the same time. And I also want to say, Viola, I love you. Your outfit is eating right now, eating down. So I wanted to say that.
My first movie, I was terrified. By the way, I never get that comment. I just want to say, but well deserved, and I see why. You know, the first movie I directed, I was terrified. It would have been way, way too hard and stressful to act in it. I got accustomed to it over the time, a lot of preparation in advance, and then there's a little bit of experience and comfort. And I know it's the same boring answer, but you get a little bit more fluid, and part of it is that we were editing as we went, and we had some autonomy there, to the extent that if we had to reshoot something, we had to go back. There wasn't the sort of embarrassment of it, which allowed me to try to communicate that comfort to everybody. But the truth is, honestly, I know I keep saying this, I kept on being in the scene, sitting there and just going, God, this is so good. You know, I kept on, I'm so happy every time. I never even thought of that today. And then I would have to remember, like, oh gosh, I'm in this thing. I was literally, at one point I just walked in holding the monitor into the scene, where I sat down, and I was like, they were like, because I was filming the boardroom scene, and then I would go back and be, and then just do some stuff and look at them like, too much? What do you guys, it was very just collaborative, and I had the best support in the world. I couldn't respect the opinion of anyone. I didn't need anybody else besides these people here to go, give me feedback. I mean, that's quite a bit more than enough. So I just was so ably supported that it was, and also I should say the crew part of our belief is the artists that are technicians that you just don't see in the movie, but they are nonetheless so vital, so critical to creating this atmosphere to allow it to succeed. And they're unsung. You don't know what they do, but trust me, this was an exercise in saying, if we get the very best artist technicians, will it make it easier and better? And to me, the answer was a resounding yes, and I want to express my gratitude to them.
That was the perfect segue to my question. I heard that department heads received equity in this film, and I wondered if the cast had noticed a difference personally in having a crew that had something to invest in this personally.
It was tangible. The harmony on that set was every day, and it was infectious, and you see the benefits of it up there. Also, conveniently, this movie is no good unless you feel the human kindness, vulnerability. Like, that's what this movie is all about. It's a bunch of people that, they're running a pretty successful company, but it's not that great yet. And they don't really know what they're doing. And they are risking a mistake here. And if you're not empathetic to that, if you're not rooting for them, if you don't have the vulnerability that Matt is just, there's no one better at, if you don't have the kind of support and leadership that Ben gave every day to Matt, the star of the film, but also the person that is on the lowest step of any step around on the set, you lose that on the set. And so it shouldn't be understated what kind of leadership it takes to make something like that work, where it doesn't have the tricks of effects and stuff like that,
Hi guys, I'm here as a journalist, but I am a massive sneakerhead. I'm actually missing a wedding to be here. That's how important this movie was to me. And I do own those Chicago ones. So my question is for all of you guys. Did you guys speak with anyone in the sneaker community to kind of get a idea of how much this is going to mean for the culture? Because it is a really big deal.
We spoke with the designers, the people that worked on the original one. JP, the guy who really built the replicas, and is an example of the kind of genius that you want to have participate in something and profit from. And the answer to that is that people who just feel valued will do anything, because with their own investment and the value in that being reflected to them, yes, the difference, in my view, was monumental. I didn't really know the extent to which sneaker culture had grown, because I'm middle-aged and out of touch. But I started once we got into the movie, I started getting exposed to it, and then people started giving me shoes and showing me shoes, and then it was kind of like the first hit is free, and I was like, you got any more shoes? And so it got a hold of me. And now I realize from that and this exposure, and also you look at the numbers of why people are interested in this movie, the idea that it's the inception of the whole idea of sneaker culture, where the first time there ever was even the notion that a shoe would represent someone's identity and have meaning, and then it would be a work of art, which now is self-evident, and that you see this broad swath of extraordinary collaborations and artistic expressions in the shoe world. But that just didn't exist. The brand was Cheerios and Sears and Goodyear. You know, Jordan wasn't a brand. Nike was a brand, and then when he stepped into it, it became that.
Thank you. Hi, my question is, how close to reality was that deal meeting in the Nike room that you presented, which was several years ago? Yeah.
Well, I will say that, well, you saw the photograph with they had the poster, and those were the people present, and the line that Julie said to Chris, Howard told Chris that Michael told him that he had said that. And so a lot of it was picked up from the real details, and some of it, obviously, we wrote. And when I showed it, and I showed to the people and the legal and everybody, just be clear, like, this is fictionalized to an extent. But there was a speech, and actually a really interesting thing. It showed Phil Knight the movie, which halfway through I realized might have been a gigantic miscalculation. And I thought about leaving. But he was enormously graceful because, and I said to him, hey, people, I have been there a little bit myself. Like, I have been known to appear in the occasional meme. And I said, people, they like to make fun of the boss. That's part of workplace culture. And, okay. And he was so classy about it. He was like, well, everything didn't exactly happen like that, but that's the spirit of, and he just had so much respect for Dolores and Michael, and he said, we were friends. We were friends. And he said, the thing about that speech, that Rob made that speech. Rob Strasser, actually, evidently, which I didn't know until then, because I didn't want to have any communication or contact or accept anything from Nike, because I didn't want to be accused of making propaganda or a commercial or altering anything that I wanted to do in order to curry favor with them. And then at the end, I was like, I shouldn't have stole those good and plenties. But it was a way of, I thought it was enormously graceful, because there actually was some pretty significant acrimony between Phil and Rob, who the success does two things. It's lovely, but it also, then it can create conflict, and people left, they were offered jobs, people felt betrayed, there was a lot of acrimony, and when Rob died, I don't think he and Phil were on great terms, and so I thought it was a really lovely thing, and when I listened to him, when he said that, I just thought, this is somebody who's at that place in his life who looked back at this movie as representing exactly what Sonny said to Matt, which was, this was the best time of our life. We were friends, and we were trying to do something. And we didn't really know what we were doing, and we were, I just thought it was lovely.
We're gonna do a couple more.
Amazing movie, just incredible, especially Ms. Davis, incredible. I wanted to ask about that montage scene. Whose idea was that to sort of show the preview of the future life arc of Michael, not completed life arc, but that was just incredible. And one thing I've always super respected about Michael Jordan was that he reached the pinnacle, but then he went to go play baseball because that was his dream. And he didn't end up being just the most incredible baseball player, but I love that he went and did that because he wanted to follow that dream as well and then go back to basketball. So whose idea was that montage? I thought it was incredibly well done and timely in that spot.
Like a lot of good idea. I don't even remember whose original idea it was. I really don't. And I knew that it would only work. And Matt and I worked on that scene, and Matt did some really incredible writing. We kept rewriting it, but the only way it worked to me was that there was one person in the room who understood not only Jordan was going to be great. And I think that was all anyone else was thinking about and aspiring to. But I thought, it'll work to forecast that if what we also forecast is that Mrs. Jordan has mixed feelings, because she also recognizes what he doesn't see as a very young man, because as men we mature. I'll let you know when it happens. And she recognizes that he's going to pay. There must be some price to be even just alone in that way. If there's nobody else like you in the world, that's a lonely feeling. And as Matt articulated, the cycle and the dynamic of fame, to become the most famous man in the world, that will be played out in the most dramatic way. And so I thought it'll only feel organic if when we cut to Viola, we see that it's really, she sees this. What happens when his dad passes away? What happens when they go after? What happens when he has to carry this weight? What happens when he achieves every dream he's ever had? And so empathetic to her son that she sees the complexity in that. And, predictably, she was great. And so it worked. Thanks.
All right, last question.
Hi, thank you for coming and bringing this film. It was great, it was fantastic. I'm a huge Michael Jordan fan. I love all of you. I can't wait to work with you one day. Hi, Viola. My question's for Ben, because I'm a huge Bulls fan, and I've followed The Last Dance and The One Man in His Shoes, which premiered here last year, about the Nike deal with Michael Jordan. And I wanted to ask you, because when you were pursuing this and making this project, did you learn anything new that hasn't been mentioned or hasn't been well documented that you incorporated in the film? And
yeah, but I didn't put it in the movie, and I respect the people's privacy who told me, and I can keep a secret.
Oh,
Thanks very much.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, give him a round of applause, and thank you for being in South by Southwest.
Thank you.
Love you.
Thank you.
And that is a wrap from South by Southwest 2023, the world premiere of Air with Chris Tucker, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Viola Davis, Jason Bateman. Thank you all for watching all of our amazing premiere coverage from South by Southwest 2023. Until next year, be well.